So now we'll have a look at how we transform the STL file that we exported from AutoCAD into something that we can print. And the first place to go to is the software that comes with the Anycubic Photon S, which is called Photon. And we can bring in our file, as you can see here. I'll just move that to one side and bring in another file that I did afterwards, which is a double length one. This one can have the keep left sign at both ends, and it's that one that we're going to try and print. So if I delete the gold one and we look at this one, so how do we prepare it for printing? Well, this is currently sitting on the base plate, and as such we can print it as it is. If it was, let's say, a ball, then you'd end up with a problem because the ball would roll around on the plate and wouldn't stay still. Or more likely, because it have a very small touching point on the plate, it would probably pull off when the printer tried to print it. So putting things on the base plate is okay, as long as they have a big flat surface that can stick to the plate. Otherwise, you need to put supports in. So in this example, this is in actual fact got a flat bottom. You can see the edges there, and the chances are it would probably print okay. The only issue might be that once it gets to the point where the pavement goes in, it would effectively trap the liquid inside the bottom, which probably wouldn't be a problem, but is not ideal, and we'll maybe look at that a bit later on. So to put supports on it, what we do is we go to the support side, and you have to select it first, and then go, and it takes you to a second element of the software where we can apply supports. And you can do it manually, or you can use the auto supports, which if I press the button, you can see that it raises it off the floor and give it enough space to put something underneath, and it puts lots of supports in underneath. Now the problem is the way in which it doesn't may not work, and I've done a lot of auto supports and discovered that things that overhang, it hasn't put any supports under, and it would fail. So you simply cannot rely on the auto support function. It's not terribly good. In this particular case, it's probably not done a bad job. It's put supports on the underside of the pavement, and it's put supports on this edge of the curb. Don't know why it's put it off to one side, but it's probably enough to print it, and I think I'd probably be happy to do that. But there's an alternative, and that is to use a third-party piece of software, which is called Chitubox. I think I pronounced that right. You can be the best judge of that one. And it looks very similar. It's got a view of the bed plate, and we can pull in the file and drop it onto the plate, and again it would print from that point. It's sitting on the bed. Or like Photon, Chitubox has an auto support system and a manual system. So again, we can apply supports to it, and as you can see, it's somewhat different. One of the reasons for that is that it has default sizes. So as an example, we can go in and we can modify this little bit at the top to be thin or to be quite thick. And I've done a lot of research, and I've taken what I found in the research on lots of videos of lots of other people who do 3D printing with this sort of printer, and I've come up with the ultimate settings that they keep putting out, and I've put them into all of these boxes because they're all changeable. And I have to admit, against the default settings that come with Chitubox, they are much better. In fact, so much better that when you come to remove all these supports from the final printed object, that they almost pull off by hand. You don't even have to take a pair of cutters to chop them off. And as you can see in Chitubox, it's applied much less in the way of auto support. And again, it's put some supports around the main areas, and it doesn't look too bad. I think I'd probably, again, be relatively happy with that. You can just see that it's put light support on the outer edges, and then for the middle, it's actually used a thicker support. They are the medium size, I think, rather than the thick one. So I can demonstrate what you can do manually. So we're currently in the light mode, and I'm in the add support mode, and you can see that wherever I take the pointer, it makes the surface that it's going to touch black. So if I press it up now, it puts in a lightweight support. And if I delete that, delete, 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 right. So if I delete that one and change it to medium, go back to the add and put that in, you can see that it's a slightly different style of proto for the support. And if we delete that one, delete, and we go to heavy supports, and we put one in there, go to the plus, and again it's an even thicker support. So if we were trying to print something that had a huge overhang over here, instead of putting in a lightweight support that probably wouldn't support it, as in it's too thin and wobbly, we would put in one big heavy one. And we'll do another video showing the supports, but you can see that it's not as straightforward as perhaps first seems, that you can't just suck it in and press the print key. You've got to do a bit of work. And in actual fact, although this is a very simple piece to print, I'm discovering that in a lot of cases that the auto support structure is basically a load of rubbish. And unfortunately, one of the bad things about the auto supports is that in Photon you can't even delete the auto supports. Once they're in, and you can add to it, you can take away the ones that you've added, but you can't take away the ones in the auto supports. And I think that's as much one of the reasons that I probably won't use Photon, and I prefer to use this, because at least in this I can put in a lot of supports by the auto function, and then if I don't like them, then obviously I can delete some of them and add in my own. So if I delete all of the middle ones, I can then go back in and apply my own heavy ones. So go to plus, and I could put in, let's say, 6 nice and uniformly, and I've now got heavy supports rather than the medium ones. So we'll have a go at printing these, and I'll print it both on bed platform, which I can remove, and if I go back to that one, yep, it goes back down. So we'll print it like that, and we'll print it with the supports as well. And for that particular one, we'll use the standard that it comes up with. And you might have seen there, wasn't that different? Yeah. So yeah, it's complete. That's gone a raft. It's put a raft in. Who put a raft in? Who told it to do that? See, this is the vagaries of the auto support, is that they never quite work out the same. Sometimes they work quite well, and other times they don't, and it does strange things that yeah, you don't expect it to do. Right, because it was all heavy, that's why. Yeah, rubbish in, rubbish out. So remove them, and then we go to light, and we do all. That's better. Okay, that explains that. You see, you learn as you go. So okay, what do we do now that we put our supports in? Well, we have to go back to the main screen, and what we do is we press the slice button. And what it's done is it's gone through this and chopped it into so many layers. And we can demonstrate that by pressing on this, And what we'll do is it will basically go down each layer, showing you a view of actually what it's going to print at any particular one time. And on this side you can see the cross-sectional view from above as to the diameters that you're trying to work with. And you can do the same going up, or really quickly, supposedly, well, not that quick, but you get the idea. You've got a view as to what's getting printed at any one point in time. So there's the outer edge of the curb, there's the pavement, and so forth. So once you're happy, and sometimes you'll spot something where there's maybe a little island and it hasn't got a support, which again I'll show you in another video. But basically, once you're happy that everything is supported in the way that you think is going to work, we can now convert this into a file that we can print. And we press the save button and it produces a file with the dot photons on the end. And down here you can see it processing, and that's written it to my file directory where I can go and pick it up, and I can then transfer that from my computer onto a USB stick, and it is then the USB stick that I plug into the side of the Anycubic Photon S, and it will come on screen looking very similar to that with the file name. I can select that and hey presto, we're off and printing. So I'll see you in the next one and we'll have a look at that process. Ciao for now.